afternoon, good morning, good evening, Fabulites. I got a question for you. What opens with Alfred and Mr. Scrabbling, and what closes with Nina Simone? I want a little sugar in my bowl. I want a little sugar in my bowl. I'm the sweetness I've been told. I don't know how it goes, but that's the jam. Did you guess Handmaid's Tale episode 5, Faithful? If you did, you are correct. And I am doing a recap review. Please stick around. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Angela, liking, commenting, subscribing, and for being you, boo. All right, let's go. So we open with Joan and Mr. Commander Waterford in his office playing Scrabble. And she flirts with him for him, and he lets her win for her. And he has the gift. He has a gift for her. It's called Beautify Magazine. It looked like a Mademoiselle, not quite like a Vogue, but you know, like a woman's magazine. And she says it's not allowed. And he says, she says she thought that they were all supposed to have been destroyed. And he said he can get things, he got special connections or whatever. And in her head talk, she's talking in her head, which she does a lot during this episode. Has she been doing it all along and I just caught it? We hear Joan reading an article from the magazine. 10 ways to tell if he likes you or something like that. Number 1, gifts. And then she looks at him and she's like, check. Like, oh, he likes me. Like she think, that's kind of like how Stockholm Syndrome works, right? Or when you're in these unhealthy environments, things start to get normalized and, you just kind of start going with it. So she's starting to get normalized and starting to go with it. Okay, we had to close the sunroof. Okay, so then we see a flashback of Myra and Joan. They're on the street and they're playing with the dating application app, and it turns out to be Tinder. And Myra approaches a man. She wants an objective opinion on this child's profile picture. And the man turns out to be Luke, who we know to be her husband. And I knew from the book that she had an affair, that anyway, I knew where we were going with this, especially because the title of the episode was Faithful. So I knew we were about to kind of explore this theme of faithfulness. So Myra approaches Luke for an objective opinion on Joan's profile picture, and he's going through her phone, looking at different pictures, and you can tell there's an attraction. And Luke leaves, and Myra and Joan giggle. It's just a lighthearted fun time on the street, or it seems to be a lighthearted fun time on the street. Then we're back modern day. We're in the kitchen. Joan, the Martha, Rita is there, and Nick. And Joan is kind of eating while she watches Nick and Rita interact. And basically, Rita is like, don't you have somewhere to go, something to do? And Nick is like, no, I'm just looking for some food. Rita is like, it sounds nice, because she got plenty to do. And then we hear Joan talking in her head again. She's again back to that article. 10 ways to tell if he likes you. Article number 2. He finds ways to be around you. Check for Nick. So she just surrounded by men who like her. She's living the carefree, what's the name of the magazine? She's living the carefree, beautified life. Beautify life. Make life beautiful. So as she's processing that in her head, then the missus comes into the kitchen and she summons Joan to the garden. Joan is worried. She don't know if Mrs. Waterford knows one of her secrets. She got a whole bunch of secrets. A whole bunch of things she does is forbidden, like playing Scrabble, being alone with the commander, the nature of their relationship, the writing in the closet that she knows about and looks at. I mean, she reads that, that's probably illegal. That could probably get her killed. So she's nervous, and she's thinking, well, shoot, should I just go ahead and kill her now? I could use the gardening shears to kill her. She don't know what's going on. And the missus asks her, well, are you pregnant yet? And, she says, well, it's bad luck. The missus says, your time here is running out. You don't want to be sent to the colonies, do you? maybe he can't. And meaning maybe the man is sterile, Mr. Waterford, Commander Waterford. And I don't know if Joan thinks it, but we know you ain't supposed to say the man is sterile. Oh, it ain't nothing wrong with the man. So that's she's kind of shocked that the missus is saying something of that nature. Maybe we can try with another man. And Joan is like increasingly stressful because what's really going on? And women do it all the time. We can do it with someone we trust. Nick, he's already agreed. And I'm like, well, damn, she done worked the plan out. And I know even when they thought that she was pregnant, it's like everybody all up in this woman's uterus, all up in her baby belly situation. Like she done planned the semen and everything for her. And she says that Nick is loyal. That's what the missus says. He's been with us for a while. Is that all right? All right. Good. This afternoon. And I'm like, damn, I'm just adjusting to the idea that I'm not about to get killed. Am I getting killed? Am I getting set up? This is me in Joan's head. What's going on? And now I'm already having an affair with the man. It's so quick. It just is a lot going on. Okay, so then we see Joan in the grocery store. All we see in the grocery store are Martha's and Handmaids. And then she comes up to Janine, and she's talking to another handmaid about examples of just how cute her baby is. Oh my God, her little feet did this, or she smells like that, or, she looked this way, or, she laughed like this, whatever. And then a handmaid says to Joan. Now, I got confused on this episode because sometimes it was the handmaid that I knew as of Glen 2, and then sometimes it seemed like it was another handmaid. So I was kind of like, am I not recognizing of Glen 2, or is there somebody else in the mix? I was a little confused. I was confused. Okay, so but basically that's not important. What's important is that the handmaid says she's back, and Joan looks over and goes over, and it's of Glen. She says, of Glen 1, who's now of Stephen. Joan, oh, it's good to see you. You okay? I was worried. It's Nick and I. What's up, girl? And of Glen 1, now of Stephen. I'm fine. I don't know anything. I'm too dangerous after what happened. Of Glen 2. The of Glen 2 comes. Oh, there you are, Fred, hiding out in the veggies, and kind of pulls her away from of Glen 1, who's now of Stephen. So it's kind of like, if you think about like in high school or junior high, maybe when there's like the popular girl, and maybe there's one girl who's almost with the popular girls, but she just keep insisting on hanging out with this girl who's not popular, and her friend is trying to rescue her from the unpopular girl. That's how they treat the of Glen 1. Like she's the unpopular girl, and they don't really acknowledge her, interact with her, or I guess everybody know that she's trouble, or everybody knows she got in trouble, or these young women are afraid of her and don't want to be associated with her. So she of Glen 2 pulls her away. That's her main partner. And then we see Joan and of Glen 2 walking. Now of Glen 2 says, don't do that shit again. Don't mess this up for me. Before, what were you, happy Miss Upper Middle Class shopping at Nordstrom and shit? Well, before this, I was an addict, and I'm clean now. I got a safe place to sleep, and people who are nice to me. They are nice. Whatever they did to of Stephen, who used to be of Glen, that's not gonna happen to me. You understand? So, we have an example of someone who feels that this situation is an upgrade for her. It might be a downgrade for Joan, but some women feel that this is an upgrade and they're happy with this situation. I guess that's what we're learning. Which, it makes sense. Everybody, I guess some people who were enslaved are like, massa good to me. I got, however they processed it, they're different people have different takes on it. Just like in Underground, when they came to get Baby Boy, and Baby Boy is like, don't come to get me. I'm reading. I got horses. I'm in the big house. I got suits and clothes. Why y'all coming to get me? I'm happy. He happy, or he thought he was happy. Was he happy? He was happy on the surface, but he was still enslaved. Okay, so then we see Joan. She's back in the closet, and she's meditating on how not to let the bastards grind her down. Of course, that's in Latin. She hears footsteps. She leaves and closes the door to the closet. Mrs. Waterford enters the room without knocking. I'm like, damn. And the missus, are you ready? And then we see Joan and Mrs. Waterford, and they're sneaking, and they're going to Nick's place. And Joan is stressed. She says she feels like she's cheating on her husband, Luke. And then, of course, we have a flashback. We see Joan and Luke. They're in a restaurant. It's daytime. And we find out that they have been having regular lunches together, just as friends. But they've been keeping their lunches secret from Myra, her friend. And he's been keeping his lunches secret from Anna, the wifey. I knew it was wifey, but he just said Anna. So even when you're doing something in broad daylight, if you're keeping it a secret, if you feel compelled to keep it a secret, that lets you know something ain't right about that situation. So Joan says, we are not doing anything. Luke, he says, we're having lunch in broad daylight. Luke, where would we even go? Joan, not to my place. Myra's there working. We could go to a seedy pay-by-the-hour hotel. Luke, or to the Hyatt. What would you wear? It's not going to happen, though. Nope. Joan, nope. Luke, nope. Okay, so then we're back in present time in Gilead. And Nick opens his door. We see the missus, then Joan, and it's like a uterus delivery system. So the missus is like, here's her uterus, impregnated with a baby. And Luke is like, do we pray first? Not Luke, no, Nick. Nick is like, do we pray first? And the missus is like, no time, please. Let's get this show on the road. Joan walks over to the bed. She sits. It's kind of like she used to this ritualized rape thing. So I guess she go and get in her position to be, raped, I guess. Or have sex or whatever. I don't know. She sits down. She's kind of staring straight into space. Then we see Nick undoing his pants, and we see her kind of look over. So I don't know if she's trying to check out the package. And then we have a flashback. We see Joan and Luke entering a hotel room. It's an awkward moment. And then they're kissing. And then Joan says, since we're probably only going to do this once, I'd like to be on top. Okay, so then we're back in Nick's place. Mrs. Waterford is standing by the door. She's looking to the side, away while Nick and Joan have sex. The missus glances over at them. Joan is looking off to the side. Nick is looking at Joan. Then Joan and Nick make eye contact. And then I guess he comes. Is another dry ass, just depressing sex scene. Yuck. Then we're back in the house, and the missus, how do you feel? Do you feel anything? And Joan, you don't just get pregnant 30 seconds after a man comes. Okay, so then we're with Of Glenn, one who is now of Stephen, and she's in the yard, and she's interacting with the German Shepherd. I would say play, but it's some depressing ass playing they doing. Like she throwing the ball, and the dog is coming back. The dog look all dry and depressed. The dog even looked depressed. How you got a dog depressed? But I guess dogs can be depressed, but the dog, So anyway, so she's interacting with the German Shepherd. And then we see a person behind watching through a French door. And then a missus comes out, and she's touching her shoulder. And she says, the missus, he's so happy to have someone to play with. I'm not feeling well. I think I'm getting the flu. Maybe we should just skip tonight's ceremony. What do you think? And of Stephen, you can't be sick every month. And then the missus leaves, and she touches her on the shoulder again. So it's like she's trying to be kind and compassionate. Again, the whole situation is jacked up. I don't understand. I'm confused about who's benefiting from it or enjoying it. And we'll talk about that again later. Oh my God, we have 14 minutes. So, of Stephen, now of Stephen, she goes back to interacting with the dog. And then we see Mrs. Waterford. She's lighting a cigarette. She says, come in. And we realize it's ceremony night. It's the ritual threesome rape night. Woohoo! Oh, it's so exciting. So Joan, Rita, and Nick are in place. The mister comes in. He says, shall we begin? The next shot is of the ritualized threesome rape that we're now used to seeing now. Joan is thinking, stop it. Stop it. Don't look at me like that. Can she see him looking at me? Can she see how he's touching me? And Mrs. Waterford seems to be looking off into space on her side. She probably like, I hope this child is pregnant. I want a child so bad. I don't know what she's thinking. Shoot, it's depressing. It's depressing. To me, I'd be like, dang, this is a fucked up life I'm living. I'd be looking off to the side like, what in the hell did I get myself into? This is really depressing. I should slip my wrist. Okay. So then we see Joan. That's what I would be thinking. I'm not saying they thinking that. And maybe they like it. They just look so miserable. Everybody looks so miserable. And then we see Joan knocking on the mister's office. The mister says, this is a surprise. You drink? You want a game? And then Joan, don't you ever do that again. Look at me like that. Touch me like that. When she's there. I'm like, when she's there? Okay. She could have had me sent to the colonies or worse. And you know that. And then mister, I'm sorry. I just find the whole thing so impersonal. And he has another magazine. He's looking at the magazine. He says, list of made up problems. No woman was ever pretty enough, young enough, rich enough. And Joan says, we had choices then. And then Mr. says, well, now you have respect, protection, and you can feel your biological destinies in peace. Children, what else is there to live for? Huh? I'm like, dummy, if she have a child, you take her child away. How is that part of her biological imperative to have a child and not bond with it and connect with it? I don't understand how you processing things, mister. I don't understand. Joan is like, he's like, what else is there to live for? And Joan is like, love. Mister, it wasn't real. It was lust with a good marketing campaign. And then Joan says, well, maybe to you, but not to me. And then Mr. says, what did you say? Doing unnatural things probably felt like love to the first of Glenn. We let her live out of respect for her position, meaning she was fertile, so they let her live. I am not without compassion. We helped her, saved her, had doctor take care of her problem. Small problem, really. Every love story is a tragedy if you wait long enough. We only wanted to make the world better. Better never means better for everyone. It always means worse for some. So Joan leaves. So I'm like, who is it better for? Is it better for him? And so I'm trying to figure out what they did to baby girl. Is her name the first of Glenn, who is now of Stephen? Did they give her a genital, did they mutilate her her clitoris so she wouldn't feel any sexual pleasure? That's the only thing I could think, because she's still fertile. So then we see Joan, she leaves Mister's office and she's thinking, better never means better for everyone. It always means worse for some. And then she goes to the kitchen and she throws up in the sink. Is she pregnant already, or is just the whole world she living in making her sick? Or is it both or neither? And while she's throwing up in the sink or whatever, Nick enters. Are you sick? Joan, what are you doing here? Spying on me? Are you an eye? You know what they did to Glenn. Nick, I couldn't say no when Mrs. Waterford asked me. I'm sorry. Sorry. Joan, are you an eye? Please, just tell me. Nick, yes. Now, go to bed before I report you. Okay. So then we have a flashback of Luke and Joan in a hotel room after sex. And we see a shot of his glasses and wedding ring. Joan, I want you to leave your wife. Luke, okay. Joan, wait, really? What do you mean, okay? Luke, I'm in love with you. What else am I going to do? Joan, I'm in love with you. Okay, so then we're out on the street. I gotta hurry up, y'all. Then we're out on the street at an outdoor market. Joan and some handmaids are walking. Joan notices of Glen 1, now of Stephen, looking at her, and Joan approaches the now of Stephen. I know what they did to you. I'm sorry, she says. Now of Stephen says, they can't use me anymore, but you can help them. They are fighting back. Find them. My name is Emily. And they touch hands, and then a handmaid comes up. One of the handmaids comes up to rescue her, and she says, you are going to come by the lilies, and you are going to stay by the lilies. You better stay away from her. She is not popular. And then Emily is watching a black car. That's the new of Stephen. And she gets into the car. Someone gets out. She gets in the car, and she drives around the plaza a time or two. And then she hits one of the many armed men, and then she stops, and then she runs over the man. And then an armed man break the window, and they take her away. And then we're back on a residential street, and it's Joan and one handmaid. I don't know if it's the regular one we used to or somebody else. They have one umbrella for the rain. And as she's leaving Joan at her gate, the handmaid says, it'll be okay. We'll help each other. And then Joan, she's thinking as black cars rush by. Luke once told me what Mayday means. Help me. And then we're in the house, and the missus yells out, oh, Fred, is that you? And then we see Joan entering the room where the missus is painting a flower under a huge chandelier. I heard there was a bit of trouble in town, the missus says. Are you all right? And Joan says, fine. And then the missus says, some women can't handle the requirements of the position, can't do what needs to be done. You understand what I'm saying? So they have this understanding. Joan ain't all right, but she just like, I'm all right. And the missus knows she ain't all right, but she just trying to get a baby. And, you know, then we see Joan in her room. She's thinking, they didn't get everything. Something inside of her they couldn't take away. She looked invincible. That's what Luke had said about one of Joan's pictures when Myra first solicited his advice as a stranger on a good Tinder profile picture for Joan. So Joan goes outside. She sneaks past the guard. She goes and she knocks on Nick's door. She takes off her bonnet and his top and his pants. She takes off her own dress, her undershirt, and her bra, and they have sex. So they can't, it's like, you know, the rebellion is inside. You can lock somebody's body up, but, you know, Emily still rebelled. She's still rebelling. And then they have Nina Simone. I want a little sugar in my bowl. I want a little sweetness in my soul. You've been different, I've been told. I want a little sweet. I want a little steam on my clothes. But anyway, I love that song. I love Nina Simone. And I love you, Fabulous. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm Angela. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Share, like, comment, subscribe. I'm enjoying this series. Have a wonderful, fabulous day. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Yes, baby. Bye.